You've been thinking about it, haven't you? That gnawing question that creeps in late at night when the house is quiet, when the notifications stop buzzing, and you're left alone with your thoughts. Should I quit my job? It's not a small question. It's a life-altering one. And it doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes after months, maybe years, of feeling unfulfilled, drained, and quietly suffocating in the routine you swore was temporary. Maybe you took this job because you needed the paycheck. Maybe you convinced yourself it was a stepping stone to something greater. Or maybe, like so many people, you woke up one day and realized this wasn't the dream. It was the cage. But here's the thing no one tells you when that question starts echoing in your mind. Quitting isn't just about walking away. It's about walking towards something. And most people only fantasize about leaving because they're running from pain, not because they've defined a future worth running to. So before you hand in your resignation, before you type out that 2-week notice, or fantasize about walking out with a dramatic speech, pause. Breathe. Let's break this down together. Because this moment you're in, this fork in the road, could be the very thing that shapes the rest of your life. The reason this is so hard isn't because you're weak or confused. It's because we've been sold a lie, that staying in a job you hate is safe, and leaving it is reckless. The truth? Both paths carry risk. Staying can slowly kill your ambition, your creativity, even your health. Leaving can rattle your security and force you into the unknown. But there's a third way, an intentional way, and that's what we're here to uncover. This video isn't here to tell you quit or don't quit. It's here to give you the clarity, the courage, and the strategy to make a decision you won't regret. A decision that's yours, not made for you by fear, family pressure, or social expectations. So let's begin at the beginning. Why do you want to quit? Not the polite version you tell your friends, the raw truth. Is it because you're undervalued, overworked? Is it because you've outgrown this version of yourself? Or is it because deep down, you know you're meant for more? Get honest. Because quitting your job without understanding your why is like leaving your house without knowing where you're going. You'll just end up lost somewhere else. Think about this. The average person spends over 90,000 hours at work in their lifetime. That's a third of your life. Would you give a third of your life to something that drains you with no plan to change it? That's what this decision is really about. Not just a job, but your one life. The stakes are high because your energy, your peace, and your future are on the line. And if you feel that in your gut right now, good. That discomfort you're feeling, that's your inner compass telling you something is off. But instead of silencing it, we're going to listen to it. Here's your first challenge. And it's not to quit, it's to pause and get brutally clear. Write down your reasons for wanting to leave. Not one or two vague feelings, but every frustration, every moment you swallowed your voice, every time you came home too exhausted to even feel alive. Then, write the opposite. What would your ideal workday feel like? Not just what you do, but how it feels. Free, inspired, challenged, respected, energized. This exercise is the first step to reclaiming your agency. Because quitting isn't just about closing a door, it's about choosing which door to walk through next. And here's a truth that might sting a little. Quitting your job won't magically fix a broken mindset. If you hate your boss, your hours, your commute, but you also procrastinate, self-sabotage, and avoid responsibility, you might just carry those patterns into the next thing. So before you throw the whole job away, ask yourself, what part of this pain is within my control? Can I set boundaries? Can I communicate what I need? Can I upskill, pivot, negotiate? Sometimes the real escape isn't leaving, it's leveling up where you are until you're truly ready to go. But if you've done all that, if you've tried, really tried, and it still feels like you're living someone else's life, then you owe it to yourself to explore what leaving really means. Not the fantasy version, but the honest, gritty, unfiltered version. Because walking away from a paycheck without a plan isn't freedom, it's chaos. And freedom without a foundation quickly turns into panic. You've probably seen it everywhere. The glorified, "I quit my job and now I travel the world" posts. The videos of people throwing their resignation letters like confetti. The endless promise that quitting equals instant happiness. That narrative is seductive. It makes you feel like one bold move can erase years of exhaustion, resentment, and missed opportunities. But here's what they don't show. The anxiety at 2 a.m., when the bills start piling up, the hollow silence when the applause fades, the weight of realizing freedom isn't free. It comes with responsibility, planning, and discipline. Quitting your job without a strategy is like jumping into the ocean because you hate the shore, without knowing if you can swim or even where the land is. And that's where so many people make their mistake. They confuse relief with freedom. Relief is temporary. It's that sigh of "finally, I'm done" when you walk away. But freedom is sustainable. It's the ability to live on your own terms without constantly fearing the next bill, the next obligation, the next regret. So before you let the fantasy win, I need you to slow down and ask the uncomfortable questions. Do you have savings? Not just enough to survive for a few weeks, but a runway, 3 to 6 months of living expenses at minimum. Because here's a truth you can't ignore. Even the most passionate dreams take time to pay the bills. And during that gap, when your bank account starts shrinking, your passion can start feeling like pressure. You don't want your dream to become another job you resent. Next, what's your exit strategy? Not your resignation letter, your bridge. If your job is the island you're standing on, what's the bridge you're building to the next place? A side hustle? A freelancing skill? A business plan that's been validated, not just imagined? Or is it a clear career pivot where you've already laid the groundwork? Leaving without a bridge is like burning the only boat you have and hoping you float. But let's also talk about the other side, the price of staying. Because it's not just quitting that comes with a cost. Staying in a job that crushes your spirit, slowly drains you in ways you can't always measure. The energy you don't have for your family, the creativity you stop expressing, the self-belief that erodes a little each day. That's the invisible debt you pay when you stay somewhere you've outgrown. And for some people, that cost ends up being far higher than the fear of the unknown. This is why clarity is everything. Most people make this decision out of one of two emotions: panic or frustration. Panic makes you jump without looking. Frustration makes you simmer for years without moving. Neither creates freedom. What you need is a decision born from intention. And intention starts with truth. Are you quitting because you're broken or because you're ready to grow? There's a world of difference between running away from something and running towards something. And here's a hard truth. No one is coming to rescue you. Not your boss, not your company, not some magical opportunity that falls from the sky. If you want to leave, it's your responsibility to make that exit graceful, strategic, and empowering, not desperate. That means learning the skills you'll need before you leap. That means networking quietly, building opportunities in the background, saving aggressively, reducing your financial footprint, and preparing emotionally for the identity shift that comes when you're no longer so-and-so from that company. Because here's another thing no one tells you. A job isn't just a paycheck. It's an identity. For years, you've answered the question, what do you do? With a title, a role, a company. When that's gone, even temporarily, it can feel like losing a piece of yourself. That's why so many people leave a job and suddenly spiral, not because they made the wrong choice, but because they didn't prepare for the void it would leave in who they believed they were. So what's the better way? It's this. You quit on your own terms. Not in anger, not in desperation, but with clarity. You make the job your investor. Let it fund your future while you build the runway. You detach emotionally from the drama, but you extract every ounce of skill, connection, and income you can while you're there. You leave not because you can't take it anymore, but because you're ready to take what's next. This is the difference between a leap and a collapse. A leap is powerful. A collapse is panic. One gives you momentum. The other leaves you scrambling. Which one are you preparing for? This is where most people get it wrong. They think quitting is the first step. It's not. Quitting is the middle step. The first step is building your runway. A plane doesn't lift off the moment it decides to fly. It builds speed, gathers momentum, and then, only when it's ready, leaves the ground. Your life is no different. So, what does a proper runway look like? Start with your finances. You need a buffer, not a hope, not a maybe I'll figure it out. A real, tangible, liquid cushion. How long can you sustain your life without a paycheck? If the answer is not even a month, then quitting right now isn't bold. It's reckless. Your savings are your survival kit, and the more robust it is, the freer your decision becomes. Aim for at least 3 months of essentials covered. 6 if you can. Essentials mean food, shelter, utilities, minimal debt payments, not luxury spending, not impulsive getaways. If you're serious about leaving, cut the excess now so you can create breathing room later. Next, skills. Too many people think leaving a job is an escape from learning, when in reality, it's an invitation to learn faster than you ever have before. If you're thinking of starting a business, what does that actually require? Not in theory, in practice. Can you sell? Can you market? Can you manage money without an accounting department behind you? If you're pivoting to freelancing or consulting, do you know how to pitch, negotiate, deliver results that make people refer you? Or are you just hoping your passion alone will carry you? Passion is fuel, but without a vehicle, it just burns out. Your runway is also about relationships. Don't make the classic mistake of burning bridges because you're leaving. Even if your workplace is toxic, even if your boss doesn't see your value, leave with grace. One day, someone in that building might open a door for you when you least expect it. Or at the very least, they won't close one out of spite. Build your network quietly while you're still employed. Reconnect with old colleagues. Reach out to people doing what you want to do. Ask questions. Learn the landscape. Opportunities rarely come from strangers. They come from weak ties. The people you kind of know, but haven't really cultivated yet. And here's a mindset shift you need to adopt. Your job, even if you hate it, is now your investor, not your prison. Every paycheck isn't a bribe to stay miserable. It's capital for your future. Stop spending like a captive and start saving like a builder. The longer you can mentally reframe your job as a stepping stone, even a paid training ground, the more power you reclaim. You're not stuck. You're strategizing. But let's go deeper. Why are you quitting in the first place? Be brutally honest. Is it truly the environment? Or is it that you've been stagnant, unchallenged, unfulfilled? And part of you is hoping a new place will fix an old pattern. Because here's the truth. If you don't address the habits that keep you stuck, procrastination, fear of risk, chronic self-doubt, lack of follow-through, they will follow you no matter where you go. The new job, the new business, the new city, It will all eventually feel like the old trap if you carry the same mindset into it. So before you even write that resignation email, work on the inner runway. Your discipline, your resilience, your ability to take rejection, your willingness to do the boring, unglamorous work. Because once you're on your own, no one's setting deadlines for you. No one's giving you a predictable paycheck just for showing up. Freedom is amazing, but it is also demanding. It asks you to become the boss you always wished you had. And here's a truth most won't tell you. The early stages of any transition are often lonely. Not because people don't care, but because most can't understand your decision. Some will judge you. Some will project their fears on you. Some will secretly hope you fail, not out of malice, but because your courage threatens their comfort. That's why you need clarity. Because in those moments of doubt, external validation will vanish, and the only voice you'll have left is your own. So what's the formula? Here it is in plain words. Reduce your burn, build your skills, grow your network, stack your savings, strengthen your mind. When you do those 5 things, quitting stops being a gamble and starts being a transition. You're not falling, you're stepping into what you've been preparing for. And here's the best part. Sometimes, when you start building your runway, the job itself becomes more tolerable. Not because it changed, but because you did. Suddenly, you're not desperate. You're not chained. You're choosing. And that energy, that's what fuels smart decisions. If quitting a job were purely a financial decision, far more people would have already done it. But what keeps most people frozen isn't the lack of money. It's the invisible prison of the mind. These traps are subtle, deceptive, and they keep you chained long after you've outgrown your role. The first trap is what many call the golden handcuffs. You might hate your job, dread Mondays, and fantasize about walking away. But then you look at your paycheck, your benefits, your health insurance, your annual bonus, and suddenly you convince yourself it's not that bad. Comfort, even when toxic, is still comfort. It whispers, why risk it when you're surviving just fine? But here's the real question. Is survival what you were born for? Or are you quietly dying inside while your lifestyle inflates just enough to keep you tethered? Golden handcuffs work because they upgrade your life just enough to make you afraid of losing it. The nicer car, the better apartment, the subscription boxes, the dinners out. One promotion later, you're not richer, you're just more trapped. If you want out, you need to break this illusion. Money that costs you your soul isn't wealth, it's ransom. Real freedom often starts with downsizing, simplifying, and learning to live below your means, not above them. Another trap is the identity trap. You've been the reliable one, the manager, the star employee, or even just the one who always shows up. Over time, that identity becomes a shield. Without this job, who are you? What do you tell people at parties? What do you tell yourself? We fear quitting not just because of the paycheck, but because it strips away a title that has been standing in for our self-worth. If this sounds like you, remember this. Your job is something you do, not who you are. Titles can be taken, companies can close, industries can change overnight, but your skills, your values, your character, those travel with you. The moment you start separating your identity from your employment, you reclaim a part of yourself you didn't even know you lost. Then comes the sunk cost fallacy. This one is brutal. I've already invested too much to walk away now. Years of late nights, missed weekends, extra effort, climbing the ladder, and for what? We cling to jobs because we want the suffering to mean something. But here's the truth. Your past investment is gone. The only thing that matters is whether staying makes sense for your future. Sinking more time into a path that's already draining you isn't loyalty, it's fear, dressed as logic. Think of it this way. If you were driving and realized you were headed the wrong direction, would you keep going just because you've already driven 50 miles? Or would you turn the wheel? Quitting isn't wasting your effort, it's redirecting your life. And then there's the fear of the unknown, the biggest trap of them all. You know your current discomfort. It's predictable, even manageable. But what lies beyond that resignation letter? What if you fail? What if the new path is worse? What if people laugh at you? Fear thrives in uncertainty, and your brain, hardwired to avoid danger, will always choose familiar misery over uncertain possibility unless you retrain it. The antidote: evidence. Not fantasies. Evidence. Start small experiments. Freelance on the side. Start that side hustle. Take that online course. Volunteer in a field you're curious about. Collect proof that life beyond your job isn't just survivable, it's potentially better. Finally, there's the someday delusion. I'll quit when I have more savings. I'll quit when the market is better. I'll quit when things calm down at work. Someday is the most dangerous day of the week because it doesn't exist. There will always be a reason to delay, and every delay strengthens the chains. The harsh truth: there is no perfect time. There's only a prepared time. And preparation starts today, not someday. Each of these traps isn't just a barrier, it's a test. A test of how honest you're willing to be with yourself. Because until you name the trap, you'll keep walking in circles, calling it responsibility when it's really fear. In the next part, we'll go into the blueprint for transition, how to actually leave without sabotaging your future, and how to move towards something instead of just away from something. Quitting your job isn't just about saying, "I'm done." It's a strategy. It's a carefully designed bridge between where you are now and where you want to go. Too many people leap without a plan. They burn out, send a resignation email in a moment of frustration, and then find themselves drowning in panic a month later. That's not courage, that's chaos. The real strength lies in building a deliberate path that minimizes risk while maximizing momentum. Here's how to do it. First, get brutally clear on your reason for leaving. If it's just, "I hate my boss," that's not enough. If it's, "I'm bored," that's not enough either. Dig deeper. Is it a lack of growth? Misalignment with your values? No room for creativity? A toxic culture? Or maybe it's that your dream is simply bigger than the box you're in. Clarity matters because when things get tough, and they will, your reason is what keeps you moving forward. Write it down. Make it undeniable. Next, assess your runway, your financial runway, and your emotional runway. Financially, how many months can you survive without income? 3 months? 6 months? A year? Too many people romanticize quitting with zero backup. Freedom feels a lot less free when the bills start piling up. Cut unnecessary expenses now. Build an emergency fund. Downsize your lifestyle if you have to. The goal is not to escape discomfort, only to run headfirst into desperation. Your emotional runway is just as crucial. Do you have a support system? Friends or family who understand what you're doing? A network you can tap into? Or are you surrounded by people who will project their fear onto you? Prepare your mind for resistance, both your own and theirs. Then, start the parallel build. This is the game changer. Don't wait until you quit to start your next chapter. Build it while you're still employed. Test that business idea on the weekends. Freelance in your evenings. Take that certification while you're drawing a paycheck. Start building connections in the industry you want to enter. Think of your job as your investor. It's funding your future while you construct it. This isn't betrayal, it's wisdom. The more evidence you collect that your future path is viable, the less terrifying the leap becomes. After that, design your exit strategy with precision. Pick a date, not an emotional date, a strategic one. It might be 3 months from now, 6 months, or a year, depending on your runway and your plan. Once you have the date, work backward. What needs to happen between now and then? Finish key projects to leave a good reputation. Collect your contacts, your portfolio, your references. Use company resources while you can. Training, mentorship, access to tools. Position yourself as someone who left with integrity, not someone who disappeared in chaos. Then comes the mental preparation, separate quitting from running away. Many people quit because they're trying to escape a feeling, frustration, boredom, burnout, but they have no clear direction. That's like jumping out of a burning house without checking if you have a parachute. Don't just run away from something, move towards something. And if you don't know what that is yet, your job, yes, even the one you dislike, is still a gift. It's giving you time and resources to figure it out. Finally, craft your narrative. This is powerful. When people ask, "Why are you leaving?" what will you say? Not for them, for you. A strong narrative reinforces your decision. "I'm leaving because I want to explore entrepreneurship" is vague. "I've realized my values and long-term goals no longer align with my current path, and I'm ready to focus on building a career that gives me both creative freedom and purpose." That's powerful. You're not just quitting, you're evolving. And remember, the blueprint isn't just about leaving your job. It's about becoming the kind of person who can thrive after leaving. Someone who is resourceful, disciplined, emotionally steady, and focused on growth, not just escape. This transition is as much about who you're becoming as it is about what you're leaving behind. In the next part, we'll explore what happens emotionally after you quit, the chaos, the doubt, the freedom, and how to navigate the first 90 days without losing your momentum or your mind. You've now walked through the fear, the planning, the doubts, the questions, and the what-ifs. You've peeled back the layers and faced the uncomfortable truth. Quitting your job isn't about escaping a boss or running from a paycheck. It's about reclaiming your life. It's about asking yourself, what am I really here to do? And how much longer am I willing to wait before I start? The world will always give you reasons to stay where you are. The economy, the timing, the comfort of the familiar. But here's what most people forget. The right time never comes. There is no perfect moment where risk disappears, where clarity is handed to you, where fear steps aside and says, go ahead. That moment doesn't exist. You create it. This decision to quit, to pivot, to leap is not just about leaving something behind. It's about stepping into responsibility. Responsibility for your dreams. Responsibility for your potential. Responsibility for the life only you can build. The job you have right now is not your prison. It's a platform. It has given you skills, discipline, income, and even the discomfort that woke you up. Use it as a stepping stone, not an anchor. And remember, freedom isn't found in quitting. Freedom is found in choosing. Choosing to no longer settle. Choosing to prepare, to plan, to act with courage instead of impulse. You don't win this game by leaping blindly. You win it by moving deliberately, one decision at a time, until the life you want is no longer a dream you daydream about at lunch breaks, but a life you wake up to every morning. So here's your challenge. Stop asking, should I quit? Start asking, who am I ready to become? Because that's the real question. The answer will not come from your boss, your company, or your paycheck. It will come from the quiet, relentless voice inside you that's been whispering for years. There's more for you than this. The next chapter is waiting. Not when you feel fearless, not when it's convenient, but when you decide that the cost of staying stuck has become greater than the fear of moving forward. If you've made it this far, drop a 100 in the comments. It shows you are part of the 1% that's improving every single day.